Hello. JD, I see you typing in the agenda notes. Yes, feel free to bring up something.
Oh, good. Thank you.
How much of a surprise you'd like it to be? That's up to you.
No, it's not. Oh, it's not a surprise. Nothing at all. It's just basically, can we get some updated docs for the Cube scheduler? So one thing that we were actually, that my team and I were working on is that we needed to go and make just different configs for the Cube scheduler. We want to go and make a new scheduler and wanted to go and prioritize having pods come up in the same node instead of spreading them out evenly. And there was a way to do this back just by selecting a different algorithm provider, but that was deprecated and enhanced back in March. And there isn't really any documentations as to what the new policy JSON or the Cube scheduler config YAML should look like.
Sure. And so JD, I'm going to ask you to hold on to this until we actually get to that point in the agenda, because I feel like other folks might have really good input on that as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that is totally appropriate to bring up in the meeting. So
cool. Awesome.
Notice points to me. Let's just wait like another minute or so and then we'll get rolling. Yeah. Roy.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
And whatever terrible time of the morning it is over there.
No, I'm in the sales room. That's the only place I can find. I can find besides the open space.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Jennifer, good morning. Afternoon. Generic time of day.
Buongiorno.
All right. Well, let me start recording. Oh, it looks like this is already probably recording. Someone very intelligent and not completely changing things at random. Probably change the auto record settings. So all right. Let me make sure that I know what today's date is. All right, hello everyone. Today is Tuesday, February 12th, and this is the weekly meeting for Kubernetes SIG Docs. Let us go to our agenda. And let's start as we always do by saying hello to new contributors. So I see Remy Leon, welcome. If you'd like to say hi, please feel free. Otherwise, just know we see you and hello.
Bonsoir. I took the liberty of dressing like a French guy, I mean, to grab your attention. I was just having dinner. Hello, everybody. My name is Remy Leon. I'm a new contributor to Kubernetes. Indeed, as my accent, my costume, my hat will probably tell you I'm very French. And I want tonight to present you my beginning of French translation of the Kubernetes documentation. So I would like to consult with you how to get started. I already got like 7 fellows that want to contribute with me and translate the Kubernetes documentation as well. They are also they are agreeing to review and own the doc. So I've updated the pull request and put their GitHub handle, both as reviewer and owner. So we will after move the profile if required, but I guess it's a good start to have that. There is already a CNCF meetup happening tonight that will also talk about this translation. it happened in Bordeaux, the city of wine, and they are going to recruit as many contributors as possible to translate the Kubernetes documentation. So I'm really looking forward to have like pointers and know what are the next steps for my pull request, and would like to have some guidance.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us with maximal Frenchness.
Or you haven't seen the amount of Frenchness I can go to.
Yes, we'd be happy to help get you set up with a team alias in the repository so that you and your review team can add and review and merge French content at will. There is some guidance. If you go to kubernetes.io/docs/contribute, there is that link there has some information about how to get started with the localization. But we can also point.
Started and the PR is already like up and running. And I would like to have like some review on it. If I don't know if it's the right place or time to do that, but I've sent it on the chat, and it's already the profile, the alias, my CLA is signed. I've already started with one document. I don't want to get it to get too big because otherwise it will be hard to review. And I've already like translated the I18N. I've translated the TOML, I've added the aliases, and so I would really like to have some review on this PR to know what are the next steps.
I will assign myself to this right now, and we will get some review. Going on this PR, and it may take a few days to get to it. But we'll get the review process rolling. Thank you for linking to the PR. And again, welcome.
Okay, so what are my next steps?
At this point, I would say wait for review on the PR just to make sure that everything looks good. There will be at some point, I will have some follow-up questions for you about who you would like to populate your French content alias. I will leave some comments. At this point, I would say wait for my comments on this PR. That would be the next step.
Okay, thank you very much.
Cheers, welcome.
You're very welcome.
All right, let us move on to updates and reminders. Zach Arnold is our PR wrangler for the week, and I have Raji as shadowing. Does this, I don't see either Zach or Raji. Dang. Is Steve with us? No, he's not. Okay. I will follow up with them again. I pinged them yesterday, but for the record, let me just drop the link to the Wrangler schedule. If you are an approver and have any question about part of being an approver is being a PR wrangler, meaning that you help herd pull requests and get them across the finish line. If you are an approver, serving as a PR wrangler is an expected part of that job. So there's the schedule. Please make sure you know when your schedule is. This is for the first 2 quarters of the year. Okay, let's move on to the agenda. Craig Peters. Hi, Craig.
Hi there.
So I see you have a question about the best way to get a Google Doc converted to Markdown.
The question is a little bit more general. I guess I didn't write it quite correctly. So I have a whole bunch of engineers who want to contribute to these Windows docs. I've shared the outline, as we discussed a few weeks ago, to gather all of the content into sort of one monolithic doc so we can then decide how to divvy it up or not. And now people are chomping at the bit to write some stuff, and I need to give them and I need to give them some guidance about whether to start writing it in line in the Google Doc or whether we should create some separate Markdown docs and break it up by sections. I just don't know the best methodology for such a large amount of content.
Sure.
minimizing rework and reformatting.
So Craig, this is Jennifer. I popped into the Slack channel just briefly. And as I said there, I took a quick look this morning and I've got a few ideas. Also, just listening to your comments now, I think that it's my opinion and I'm willing to help mitigate risk or pain associated with this recommendation. So I'm not leaving the cleanup to other people. Until you get clear direction from other folks, I think it's fine if people are adding content to the Google Doc, especially if you've got a large, a group of folks contributing. You might find it easiest to work together on a doc in the GDoc. Folks on this call who've worked a fair amount with PR reviews for wrangling a lot of new content can tell you it's not the easiest way to collaborate. For example, the release notes, we wrangle in a Google Doc before finally converting to Markdown at the end of a release because collaboration is just not possible at that scale. That said, I've got some ideas about how to chunk it out, but I'm still not sure in my own head, and I'm not sure when I might be sure, or if I'll be sure, what belongs in a separate doc and what should go into bits and pieces of the existing docs.
Fair enough. I think that we won't know until we've sort of enumerated over all of the content. There's still a few things that are being identified that really should get added in, and maybe some things that can be consolidated.
Yep.
So, I think it'll be a couple of weeks until we have a real solid working document. I just didn't want to unleash the hounds on the Google Doc if there was some better methodology.
So, Craig, Jennifer's absolutely right about like the Git workflow not being the best collaborative tool. I don't know if you're familiar at all with Etherpad.
I have used Etherpad extensively in the OpenStack community.
So Etherpad has that nice ability to collaboratively edit in Markdown, which makes it easier to sort of lift and transfer into PRs. I don't know if you have like a handy Etherpad instance already set up. I mean, it's a great tool that would be really appropriate in this instance if you've already got it installed.
I don't. It doesn't mean it wouldn't. I could set something up pretty straightforward.
Sure, it may be worth looking into, at least just as an option.
The only challenge I think is that the GDocs UX is people are just very familiar with it. And,
the other thing,
I have some other labor that can help me do reformatting, reconstituting down the line. I appreciate your willingness, Jennifer, to help, but we also have some folks who lend hands downstream.
And there's a halfway decent plugin for Google Docs to convert to Markdown. It's what we've used for the release notes. It's not perfect. You certainly have to go in and check and clean up. I don't know if you're familiar with it, Zach, but some automation of that process is also possible.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that's
great to hear that you've got folks ready to do it. I only offered because I didn't want to make a recommendation and then leave people hanging with the consequences of it.
Appreciated. Thanks. Well, we may ask for some advice and/or some help downstream. So when you do have ideas for how your visions for how it would get distributed into various parts of the docs, please do add them there.
Yep, I will. I will, for sure.
The ongoing working doc for the next few weeks anyway.
Cool. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Jennifer. JD, do you want to, let's talk about updated docs for the Cube scheduler. I think based on the conversation that we were having at the start of the meeting, it sounds like maybe you are asking for, is it okay to update these docs?
Oh.
It's like double plus golden. Yes, please update them.
I really, really wish I could do it myself, but I was just, we were able to go and scrap together to get something functioning, and was already half deprecated. What we have working is was just kept from reading the code and actually looking, okay, maybe if we try this thing out, and eventually just through trial and error, we got to something that we wanted. But so what's happening is that the Kube scheduler documentation is based on different flags that you can pass with the Kube scheduler. If you look at the documentation, all of those flags have been deprecated except for one, which is the config one. And even though they say they're deprecated, some of them still work, but they're rather limited, and they're going to be away soon. Whenever you try to use them, you get a warning: hey, this is going to be deprecated very, very soon. And the proper way of doing it nowadays, from what I gather, is that you need to pass in a config YAML, and you need to go and point the Kube scheduler to this config YAML, which basically does everything that the flags does, and then also points to other resources such as a policy JSON, which is which determines what are the predicates and priorities that the Kube scheduler algorithm would use. My team actually did not even find a good example of what a config YAML looks like and how it fits in with the other resources such as policy JSON. So what we ended up doing is we use one of the deprecated flags to go and say, all right, here's a policy JSON config map, and you just get it from here. And even for the policy JSON, there is no documentation for it. There is just some examples online of people trying to go and debug their own.
Sure.
And that's the state that it is. And I was just thinking it would be fantastic if we could get documentation for this.
So I don't. Does anyone know off the top of their head which SIG handles Kube scheduler?
The SIG. Oh, that's SIG scheduling.
Was there like a dedicated SIG for nice? So JD, what I would recommend doing is opening an issue and putting including the description of what you encountered in the workaround, and then using the I'll put it in chat, but you can assign the SIG label. And it's like a prow command, like /sig, and then I think if it's scheduling, then scheduling. And that will automatically flag the SIG scheduling for review on that issue. You can also, let's see, if I can just find it really quick. There is an alias. I'll paste it into chat as well. If you mention that in either the original description of the issue or in a comment, well, that will get their attention for a PR review. But let's see, SIG scheduling. That's another good. Or SIG scheduling feature requests. This is another alias that you can, another GitHub alias that you can CC. And that will flag to their alias for review of either of the issue or of the feature request, and that will get SIG scheduling's attention on it. My guess is that they also have a Slack channel as well, and I would encourage you to go approach them directly and ask for better docs.
Yeah, so they do have a Slack channel. I did approach them, and they're busy with other stuff, and they're not that responsive.
I'm sorry to hear that. So if you open
the issue, and actually if they think it's going to be rather tedious to go make documentation, if I could go and sit down with, have a Zoom conversation or something like that with someone from their team that can go and explain to me and give me some examples, stuff like that, I'll be very happy to go and write that documentation myself. Just feel like I don't have the experience or the knowledge to do so at the moment.
Sure. If you need help, I think that sounds great. Like approaching, saying, "Hey, can I get some one-on-one time to update this documentation?" And if you approach it like that, that seems like, I mean, because that's a really clear, sort of well-bounded ask. My guess is that they would be pretty responsive to that. And if they're not, please let me know. I'm happy to boost signal on that and help get attention and help like coordinate one-on-one time for that.
But sounds good. But first, I'll go and make the issue for now then.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you for tackling that.
No
That's really valuable. Okay, let's. So the next item that we have in the agenda is issues in the to-do project, but I'm going to take a slight detour. And while we're talking about issues, and as a lead-in to talking about issues in the to-do project, I'm going to ask that when we open PRs for content, that we be really intentional about matching PRs to issues. I noticed that it came up in SIG Docs this morning. Like Brad was like, "Hey, I totally want to dive on this," and like Brad, I think you were totally. That was awesome of you, and because you looked at the issue and there wasn't a PR already attached to it visibly in the issue timeline. So I want to ask that we be really intentional about making sure that PRs are linked to issues. And there's a couple ways to do that. This is probably the easiest way. I'm gonna just put this in chat. Just that line, fixes, and then hash issue number. That is GitHub magic language, and that will automatically link a PR to an issue. It has to be in the original description, I think. Maybe not. I think you can add it as a comment, but as long as that is like a one-line comment from that's somewhere in the timeline of the PR, it will link the PR in the issue. So I would just ask that we please be really intentional about linking PRs to issues. So it's just really clear whether an issue is claimed or not. And that leads us nicely into reviewing content in the to-do project. So I'm going to share my screen here for a minute. Can everyone see that okay? All right, so update replica set concept topic, done. Thanks, JD. Woo. All right, let's take a look at what we've got. So we've got a what is Kubernetes page. What is this? So improving the content on this particular page. Andrew proposed using this with the improving this with the fundamental modeling concept. Is there anyone who would wants to take this on?
So I mean, this is Brad. I still want to work on this. I just hadn't connected with Andrew because he said he wanted to work on it as well. So I'm still happy to help.
Jared, can you speak to whether Andrew's going to be available to still work on this content, or is this fair game for Brad?
I think you should reach out to Andrew via Slack or email and just have him hand off all the information he has to you, and Brad, you should probably run with it.
Okay.
So yeah, I think you can take it on, but I would just sync with Andrew first. We're having a big Google conference today about developer relations, so hence we have a badge and everything. Andrew's in one of the talks right now. So.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Cool. So Brad, if you want to assign yourself here.
Okay, so aren't I assigned on the upper right there, or am I missing
Oh yeah, you
something?
totally are. Yep.
Okay, cool.
So it sounds like green light. I would just connect with Andrew to do a handoff, and
Perfect.
then the sky is yours.
Thank you. Got it.
Let's see. Update docs for ingress and other types of external access. That is really dense with no line breaks. It looks like, oh, it looks like Cody's got an open PR for this. Is Cody on right now? I'm sorry, I can't see because I'm looking in the share.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Jared, anything you want to share about Cody's involvement on this PR?
I know he's working with Steve on it, but I don't know what their progress is. So that's all I've got. I'll ping him and ask.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got a Q1. An issue with with admission controllers. Let's see, can't tell at a glance what is relevant and what is not with regard to admission controllers as of V110. Let's see, should tidy this page up to be clear about feature status for the current release. Make sure to deprecate deprecated content or mark it as clearly deprecated at least. It should be immediately clear if a controller is in alpha or beta. And I guess we need to no longer tell people how to configure 1.0 and 1.1 of Kubernetes. That is so true. So true. Okay. This looks like it's pretty straightforward content. Is there anybody who wants to jump on this and do the cleanup? It's important, but it looks small and well bounded.
I can take on this.
So before anybody else jumps in, I've been chatting with Zach Arnold, who's not on this call for good time zone reasons, about the security content generally, which he expressed an interest in working on when we were planning 2019 at KubeCon. And the last chat we had, I asked him whether he had a PR, and I guess he doesn't because he didn't send me one. But it's conceivable this is part of that work, so it might be a good idea if I'm offering to circle around with him only because time zones seem to work well for the two of us at the moment. I think he's back in the States this coming weekend. In any case, let's just make sure this issue isn't already indirectly addressed in other work before somebody else picks up potential duplicate work.
Sure, that makes sense, but I also don't want to. I don't want to come back to this because for whatever reason, like the cycles get mismatched.
Sure. Do you want? If you want to, if you
policy, like a no cookie.
Well, that's kind of exactly what I'm trying to avoid here, right? I think Zach might not be looking at this issue because we talked in a different sort of way about content at KubeCon, and there's still a bit of a mismatch in terms of which docs or which documentation people are looking at to track work. So if you want to assign this to me, Zach, so that it gets assigned to somebody who's on this call and who's willing to take responsibility for it, although not for actually writing the content, that will make sure that I circle around with Zach, and if in fact Zach hasn't touched it, I will release it and let y'all know that it is up for grabs. How does that sound?
That sounds really good. JD, I saw you raise your hand. Rui, was that your voice I heard?
Yeah, so I need to go in like a minute, but I'll be very happy to go and work with this if it's, if this is something something that needs to be done. So yeah, just wanted to volunteer out there.
Awesome,
But
thank
yeah,
you.
I need to go now. And if there's something else, just send me a message or anything. Bye.
Sounds good. Bye, JD.
And yes, I don't think anything is checked in. Zach just told me he had some content. And as I said, I'm not sure what its state is. So I thought it was worth checking before anybody else duplicated whatever effort he's made.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just checked against the master branch. I didn't see any of the changes. Actually, still the same exact issue.
Yep. Yep. Understood.
All right, so I have CC'd the 4 folks who have expressed interest in this and are relevant to it. Let's come back around to this in a week, and hopefully we'll have a PR in progress when we come back to this. Let's see, update KubeADM setup docs. See, feature request, update existing topics, or create a new topic about setting up and getting started with KubeADM. Jennifer, looks like you've already got a comment here.
Yes, and this is partly my fail on taking notes during last week's meeting, where we talked about this issue, and Chris, is it Hogue, and Cody, I owe them a meeting. The 3 of us are going to get this work organized and undertaken.
Trying to remember what, there we go. Team for follow-up. Okay. Sorry, I just have to wait for the Zoom interface to slide back up. Aggressively helpful Zoom is. Okay, need a top-level controllers concept guide. Let's see, there's no overarching concept guide for controllers. Write one. Well, it looks like we've got plenty of folks who are interested in this. It looks like this maybe just needs someone to ride herd on all of the folks who are interested in contributing to this content. Is there like an approver, or yeah, is there someone who wants to coordinate with contributors to get this written? Somebody who's comfortable like pinging the feature owners and the devs and helping guide them through the contribution process?
Yeah, I mean, if nobody's going to take it, I'll take it, Zach.
Awesome, thank you, Brad.
Cool. Who are the key people listed that we think are really interested? So it look like Eric, Nikita.
So Nikita, let's see, Mark Mandel,
Okay.
Martin Edmeyer. So it looks like you got some pretty heavyweight folks interested.
I know how to nag. I mean,
excellent. Gently encourage, empower, lift up, hold space. Let's see. Oh, JD's already gone. So this one, this deployment documentation incorrectly describes how replica sets are named. I put a comment on this already for JD. Given that he just updated the replica sets concept topic, this might make a really excellent follow-on because that material is fresh in his mind. But if there's someone who wants to dive into this particular content for replica sets, and specifically how they're described in deployment docs, this is available. But I would say let's come back to this next week. I want to give JD time to either sort of up or down it, or have some response to it. All right, and last piece, update the deployment concept topic. Study the rather long deployment concept topic. Remove any suggestion. So basically, looks like overhaul this content with some really specific suggestions from Steve. It looks like, oh, Steve has claimed this, and he and Dominic are going to collaborate on it. Okay. Well, in that case, that looks like it's in good hands. All right. All right, that is the end of our agenda. Last call for anything to discuss this week.
Actually, I have one thing to talk about is we actually recently, I think it's another person who cannot attend because of the time zone issue. I'm actually speak for him. As you guys might know, that we have a Spring Festival for this week. So the localization for a Chinese team is pretty slow. And one person in our translation lead team, he did a bunch of these issue flow that could be beneficial. We talked about last summit, the KubeCon Shanghai, but we did the configuration. I'm going to send the link for the repo to the channel. He moved that repo to host on the GCP right now, the Google Cloud Function, and we are going to use this for our new translation issue management. Yeah, that's something I want to throw into the team.
Okay. So I'm going to ask Roy that you put this link into the SIG Docs tools channel on Slack and give folks a chance to review and to provide feedback on the proposal.
Which channel?
Tools channel. SIG-Docs-tools. Let me put it in the chat.
Okay. I see. Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, just cross-post this.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else to discuss? All right, last call. All right, that's a SIG meeting, everyone. Thanks very much. Have a great week.
Thanks all.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, Remy.
Nice to meet you as well.